Hello and welcome to Footy Judgment. Always gets me this music, but thank you so much for everybody that's tuning in. We got a great show for you. Vlahovic to Arsenal now is news, and Nkunku's back. Look who's back, and Chelsea fans all smiles, of course, because he is the Messiah, as they told us so. We're not sure yet. He hasn't played a competitive game for Chelsea yet. But Liverpool, are they the best team in the league? Or the table don't lie. Listen, we have a great show with you. I'm here with two great guests, of course. Tom is here. Tom Little is here with us. Welcome back, Tom. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Glad the international break's on us the last couple of days because for once
Almost
I
done.
actually want to watch my team for once. So
Yes. And Guni is here with us, the man that knows football, of course. Back to the scenes. How are you doing? I hope everything is good with you. You're smiling. You're happy.
I'm feeling much better, man. After a horrid weekend of fevers and all kinds of just not niceness going on with my body, I feel a lot better to come back and sit down and talk some football.
Yes,
Definitely.
people. Yes, people. Hit that like button, please, if you just joined us, of course. And let's talk football. Let's talk about. Listen, I'm going to start with actually Nkunku. Nkunku back to Chelsea in training. He's trying to catch the Newcastle. What does that mean for Chelsea? Who's going to sit on the bench? Is he the savior? Is he the messiah for Chelsea? Is he the one that is going to get you top four?
Well, this is the first thing that I will say is my first and most adamant thing that I want from Chelsea Football Club and Christopher Nkunku is this. Don't rush him back. Do not rush this guy back. If he shouldn't play for Newcastle, don't. Don't play him for Newcastle. There's long-term vision here. I do not want this guy picking up another small injury that's going to keep him out for several weeks yet again. No, thank you. I want this guy to come back knowing full well that he's recovered from his injuries, not 80% better, not 85, not 90% better. I need 100% fit. Yeah, obviously, match fitness and physical fitness are two different things, but I need his body to be at optimal conditions before he touches the pitch. Because, once again, I'm not going to get carried away. I know the ability of Christopher Nkunku. That's a player that I've been watching very closely, even before we made the deal to sign him. I've been watching him very closely. Very talented player, excellent finisher, can create opportunities as well. Is an absolute havoc in that front line, 100%. But am I going to have this savior complex like some of my fan base do? Absolutely not. Because as well, his performances, yes, they're going to be individual moments where he could possibly do something for us and win us games, but that is not a sustainable way to look at football. You got to look at the other 10 men behind him on the pitch to help him achieve his best. So that's where I'm at with Christopher Nkunku, 100%.
Listen, for me, I don't know. I'm watching Christopher Nkunku. I thought he would light up the league, but someone has been injured for that long. Needs to be embedded in the team. I think they have to take it easy. However, you are not putting the ball in the back of the net regularly. Yes, you have done in the last 2-3 games, but still you kind of struggle to break low blocks, and people know that. Not Spurs, but people know that, and I think he will actually help you a lot. Like every time I was watching Kunku, I think he's absolutely brilliant. Even the preseason, he played attacking mid, he played the striker, he played left wing, and I think he is someone who can help Chelsea a lot. Tom, Christopher Nkunku, if Christian Nkunku comes back fit before Christmas, where do you think realistically he can help Chelsea go? Is it top four the thing, or that's written off already?
I think he could help him get fifth, which is a Champions League spot considering the new rules and regulations. They'd need a bit of luck in terms of fitness and everything, but with the state Newcastle squad is in terms of injuries, Tottenham should secure fourth. Liverpool, Arsenal, City are levels ahead. So it's really between Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, and Aston Villa for that spot, because I'm not including United. They're a shambles of themselves. If Nkunku can come back fit, look, I'll be the first to admit I wasn't exactly an avid Bundesliga watcher, so I know he scored goals out there, but don't style of play. If he's the type of player who's going to come in help the link up in the attack, and get Chelsea. If he can just get 10 goals this season for Chelsea, that'd be a massive improvement on what they've got. And if he's able to bring others into the game, that'll be a bigger boost. That can get them fifth, which would be a big sort of finish considering how they start the season and all the questions and concerns about the squad going into the season if they can get Champions League football. But it's a lot of pressure to put on his shoulders. Is he going to be that same player that he can be straight away when he comes back? Or how much time are you going to need to get up to speed? Because it's a long injury layoff. I think it was a knee injury as well, so it's a bit of a serious one. So that can take a little bit of time to get going. And also you've got to consider I don't think him and Jackson are the same type of player from the limited amount I've seen. I think Jackson's more off the last shoulder, and Nkunku like to sort of operate in a pocket, in a hole, and bring others in. What's that going to do for other players in the squad? Where there's like Cole Palmer fit in? If Christopher Nkunku's there, is Nkunku and Palmer going to try and occupy the same spaces? It's an interesting dilemma for Poch to figure out. It's probably the nicest dilemma he's had in a while as Chelsea manager. But if he can come back fit and if that can get figured out, I don't see why Chelsea can't sneak into that fifth spot.
By the way, that fifth spot won't get you the Champions League. It's depending on the 22-23 coefficient. And at the moment, England are fifth. Turkey, Belgium, it's this year's coefficient. So I'm sure in the latter stages it will go up. But at the end, Germany and Italy are ahead of England, actually. It's depending on the 23-24 season, your coefficient. And at the end, at the moment, England are fifth somehow, which is, I don't know why. But I think that's what's going to happen. But anyway, everybody in the chat, hit that like button for us, please. Let's get the likes up to 100. And listen, for Chelsea, it's kind of like...
No, England the top. You're looking at I think it's association club coefficients.
Yes, but that's for the all seasons. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at over the average of past 5 seasons. If you look at only 23-24...
I thought that was the one that they used.
The 23-24 is the one that they're going to use, not over the past 5 years. Anyway, I think we'll see. That's what they announced, that it's this season. It's every season. But anyway, even if they get that fifth position, I think that's... to be honest with you, like this fifth position at the beginning of the season, was that the target for you? When you saw all these signings, was that the target? Or did you think you're going to aspire to be a little bit higher?
I got ahead of myself and I said top 4 should be the target. For me, anything outside the top 4, even if fifth does get Champions League, it's not really something that I would be aiming for. But obviously, as the season has progressed, I've forcibly had to lower those expectations, unfortunately. In terms of where we are now, let's have a look. Everyone in the league has played 12 games, right? Aston Villa are 5th with 25 points. Chelsea are 10th with 16 points. So we're 9 points off. So there's a big gap that we've got to make up to get into the top 5 positions. And also hoping West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, or Manchester United don't come into a run of form and continue to pull away from us. So listen, right now, it's looking like we're ice skating up a hill. Do you know what I mean? It's looking quite difficult. But as long as we watch what we're doing, then that's what's important. I can't really... I know it's a bit hypocritical me saying I can't really focus too much on the other teams, but at the same time, I can't not acknowledge what, considering where they are and their points difference against us. I mean, listen, West Ham 17 points, Brighton 19 points. So if they both lose their next games, we do leapfrog a few positions. But still, it's a big gap. It's a big gap.
But I think you can do that because I think Spurs are going a little bit slower now. They have Aston Villa, so they face each other. Listen, are we encouraged by the way Chelsea play lately? Or that's just Chelsea playing against the bigger teams and not having to... Like, this is something that people keep saying, but Chelsea has been very, very good lately. Yes, Chelsea has been very, very good lately. I'm like, really? Like, have they been actually good, or they're still struggling to break low blocks, and they're just a counter-attacking team or in transition, Are we being deceived by teams controlling the ball against Chelsea and Chelsea playing on the counter attack?
There's a lot of core things in the game that have been impressive. If they can take that through, then yeah, they'll be fine. Obviously, we haven't really seen them in the past like 3-4 weeks against a low end team that plays a low block. They had Tottenham, they had Arsenal, they had City, and they had Burnley. Burnley are the most mind blowing team in the league in terms of it's so bad, yet they play like the prime Barca, and the rest wanted to give them a game. But there's a lot of things in those games I've seen which I've liked. And I've went, that should translate into any type of game. And if it does, then they'll be fine. There's a lot of things to like about the game. That the questions are going to be, can the key players stay fit? If the key players can stay fit, they'll be fine. But I think it's very harsh to almost just say Chelsea would just counter-attack. And I thought...
It's not counter-attack, but you know, when teams press high like Manchester City or Arsenal, Chelsea have the quality in Enzo, Caicedo, in Sterling, and Cole Palmer to bypass that press. But when teams just sit back and give them the ball, I think this is what I've seen this season. This is the struggle. So maybe I misused the word. It's not counter-attack, but in spaces when the other team gives them spaces as the midfield.
I just think we need to see. I think we need to see the next couple of games. I don't know off the top of my head who Chelsea have, but if they've got a couple of teams lower down on the table, that'll be the big test because
they don't. They have Brighton, Newcastle, Manchester United.
Right, so Brighton will come at them. Newcastle will actually try and play on the counter.
Really? So Newcastle at home, are they going to try to press from the first minute?
They're a very good low block team. They are.
I don't think they're going to play low block against Chelsea at home. I think they're going to press from the first minute.
I think they'll play a low block in the sense that they'll want to draw Chelsea out and then hit them on the counter attack. And because their squad is so bathed in at the minute, they just need to use the few very good assets they've got, and that's Anthony Gordon's pace. Isak should be back, so Isak will be able to do a bit of hold up, and Almiron has a bit of pace. So they'll just be looking to hit teams on the counter, set up in a deep low block, nullify them, and then long balls over the top. That's how Newcastle will play just because of the injuries. United, your guess is as good as mine what style of football they're going to play, but it could be anything. But when they come up against, let's say, off the top of my head, like a Sheffield United.
They're going to play Sheffield United, they're going to play Everton away.
Everton away is the prime one.
Perfect example.
Everton away is the
exactly because one. Everton away at their ground, they will still be a low block. It's going to be, this is the test.
That's the one you want to look at, and there's a lot of things that I've seen in the past couple of games that you can take and will work against low blocks. Obviously, when you add Nkunku in there, I think the big one's going to be what happens with Romeo Lavia when he's back fit, because I genuinely don't think Gallagher can be dropped at the minute. I think he's been the best midfielder in that Chelsea team. I think if you're going to drop anyone, you're looking at a Caicedo or an Enzo, because I think it'd be incredibly harsh to drop Gallagher at the minute. I think he's also an important aspect in breaking down these low blocks because he gives you the late runs at the box. He gives you another body in and around that area, which is what Chelsea need. If they can keep Reece James fit, that's another big advantage because Malo Gusto's been all right, but Reece James is a level above. There's a lot of things that need to align for Chelsea, but I've liked what I've seen in the past couple of games, and I don't see why they can't translate that to low blocks. The only way they wouldn't be able to, and it wouldn't even be a style of play, it'd just be the same issue that they've had all season. The chances of falling to the wrong people who are missing them. Because I think Chelsea create enough chances. It's just who they fall to. Look at the Tottenham game, for example. Nicholas Jackson scored the shittest hat-trick I think I've ever seen. Vicario should have saved 2 of them. And beyond that, the best chance of the game will fall into Cucurella because he was the only one who, for the first 30 minutes of that second half, could figure out how to beat an offside trap. Those are the issues that need to be ironed out for Chelsea. If they're able to iron them out, then yes, they'll be fine. They'll be absolutely fine.
I actually like Nicholas Jackson.
How can you like Nicholas Jackson but hate Nunes?
I'll tell you the difference. And listen, I know that Nicholas Jackson misses a lot of chances. Nicholas Jackson has the better touch. Nicholas Jackson has the better drive with the ball.
Oh, yeah,
100%. Listen, Darwin Nunes driving with the ball for 20 yards, I feel he's going to fall on his face. He's so quick without the ball. He runs in spaces, which is something that, yes, is very good. But Nicholas Jackson has the better touch. He strikes the ball better for me. He has been a little bit losing confidence, but when he gets confidence, and I saw a couple of glimpses of him, how can he dribble in tight spaces? Nicholas Jackson can drive with the ball around people and can dribble. Darwin Nunes can't. Darwin Nunes cannot dribble, which is like, remind me I'm not. You guys are not old enough. Filippo Inzaghi, he was absolutely brilliant in finding the right places, beat at the right time, and then he's like the king of tap-ins, Filippo Inzaghi. But he couldn't drive with the ball, he couldn't dribble with the ball. Darwin Núñez is so quicker, is much quicker. I actually think that Nicolas Jackson can be a very good striker, but for some reason the confidence isn't there. I'm watching the guy; he can play football. I'm not saying Darwin Núñez is bad, but I would rather have someone for the future. I would rather develop Nicolas Jackson than Darwin Núñez. I would rather develop that. It's a wild take, and I'm not basing this on just me looking at them. It's just the way that he strikes the ball, the way he dribbles, the way he receives the ball. His first touch is superior.
I'll give you first touch and I give you dribbling. Although I think Núñez
yes,
can dribble
so
a
that's
little
why
bit.
I can develop the rest.
I won't give you ball striking. Darwin Núñez can hit a ball hard.
Yeah, proper. I'm not gonna lie. Darwin Núñez is finishing. No. Listen, Darwin Núñez is finishing, and I've always said this. You can question other things about his game, but that guy, I know, yes, he does miss chances, but what striker doesn't? But when it comes to ball striking and finishing, I can trust this guy 8 days a week in front of goal over Nicolas Jackson. I'm sorry. But
Núñez is inconsistent.
So
Jackson for me just can't hit the ball points.
I think he can. So the point is, a lot of people say that when someone comes back from injury, so forget the comparison. Do we think that Nkunku comes back, takes his place right away from a Chelsea team that is playing together for the last 3-4 games? The lineup has been consistent, if I'm not mistaken, for the last 3-4 games. Does Nkunku come back and just take the position right away and shift Jackson to the bench or somebody else?
Well, this is the thing is, would be the case if they couldn't play together. But I honestly think that Nkunku playing with Jackson would help out Jackson a lot more, because I've always said, in terms of Jackson, although, like I said, I'm still not convinced by the player. I think he plays better with the second striker, someone that's also playing close to him. And I think Nkunku would be able to do that very well. But now, if you're asking the question as if you're going to choose one or the other, listen, like I said, 8 days a week, bruv. Yeah, I'm picking Nicolas Nkunku, Christopher Nkunku as that centre forward, because the thing is with him, right? Is a lot of people say, well, he's not a striker. He's not this. For me, he's a forward. And what I mean by that is he can play left wing, he can play inside forward, he can play as a false nine, he can be asked to play a striker's role, or he can play on that right wing. He's just able to play across the front line and different roles across that front line. And now, if we're asking honest questions, right? Who has been the more proven goal scorer between Nicolas Jackson and Christopher Nkunku? The answer's there, right in your face.
Yeah, Christopher Nkunku. That's no question. Yeah.
And hold on, that's not a disrespect. I'm not saying this to disrespect Nicolas Jackson, because now the question comes is, who is a better finisher at Chelsea Football Club than Christopher Nkunku based on their football history? There's nobody. Yeah. So why not give him that role to play there? And on top of that, he's got the most experience out of the majority of our attackers outside of Raheem Sterling, of course. So why not play him there
as a striker? So why do people say that Christopher Nkunku is going to be a number 10?
Because he can play there. This is what I'm saying. He could. I personally wouldn't use him as a traditional number 10. If I'm going to use him in that space, I'm going to push him slightly further up and sort of play him as that second striker, like I said before, rather than that creative 10 as per se. You know what I mean? And you asked the question earlier about Conor Gallagher. My thing is with Conor Gallagher is I would play him in big games, but games where you've got low blocks, etc., I would bench him, and I would be playing and I would be playing
Palmer in the 10 or Nkunku in the 10.
I'd play Palmer in the 10.
Yeah.
I'd play Nkunku, Raheem Sterling, and it would have to be Mudryk. I'd play those three. So yeah, that's just for me, because I just think Conor Gallagher he's great at winning the ball up in the final third. And when you're playing against teams on the front foot, and you're pressing in that final third, obviously there's a lot more spaces to exploit than playing with a team who've got 10 men behind the ball. You understand? Because my thing is with Conor Gallagher is that when he's got that ball at his feet and he's isolating players one-on-one, he doesn't really beat players. Sometimes, like, he loses possession cheaply, and we can't be doing that against low block teams. The issue with us is that it's not that we don't create chances or we don't get the ball in behind the defense. It's like Tom said, it's who those chances are laid to, and it's the finishing that lets us down. So I think what we're going to see against these low block teams coming forward, especially if Christopher Nkunku is going to be in and around that box, I think you're going to see a better conversion rate, 100%, and that's going to benefit us.
I think the most interesting thing about it is the reason why I think that Chelsea have had attacking problems in the past couple of years, and it's just how I prefer watching football and stuff. I think they've had too much of a commitment to these complete forward type of players. I think you just need. I think every top team needs just a goal scorer. I don't
100%.
care if they can't pass. I don't care if they look a bit crude on the eye. If they can get you 20, 25 a season, you need them in. Because if you have too many of these complete forwards, to be marketed as a complete forward, in the nice Potter way, it means you're a bit of a shit finisher. But you have all these other aspects of your game that are very good. It's like your dribbling, your link up, your hold up, all this sort of stuff that is very good. But you can't really finish at the level that others can, so you're marketed as a complete forward. You can have a complete forward, but you need a goal scorer. You need someone who maybe can't pass. Maybe, you don't really want him linking up because he can't really waste his passes correctly, all this sort of stuff. But put him in the box and the chance falls to him, back of the net. That's where I think Chelsea have ran into the issue in the past couple of years, because beyond Diego Costa, who was a great finisher, no one else. Morata was the closest, and that's a concern because I think they used Morata wrong. I'm a big Morata fan. I think he's a fantastic striker, but even then, he's falls into the ilk of a complete forward at points. But that has been the best striker they've had. And there's a lot of pressure on Nkunku's shoulders to step that up. But even then, when you've been saying it, he's a complete forward. You can do all the other aspects.
I thought they made a massive mistake with Lukaku, to be honest with you. I thought that Lukaku was a massive mistake. Like, Thomas Tuchel destroyed the guy. In my opinion, Lukaku's a good player. I think they had someone who was fit, someone who is so fit at Inter. Antonio Conte used him exactly as he used Costa on the counter, bullying defenders, playing the one-on-one back to goal. And Thomas Tuchel completely ruined the guy. They spent 105 million, if I'm not mistaken, on the guy, 105 million pounds. And he was coming from 35 goals or something like that at Inter. And he completely destroyed that. And he just, for me, that was the struggle.
It comes down to who buys
because
the player,
he won the league for us. And the way we used him was isolation against defenders. But Thomas Tuchel didn't do that with him. He was
I can say the same more about Morata, though, because Morata under Simeone has been actually one of the better strikers.
Yeah. Morata's
been a very good striker under Diego Simeone, partnering with Griezmann. But at Chelsea, when they tried to have him running off the shoulder of the last man, isolation play, that didn't work. He was better when he was able to drop in a little bit deeper and link up with a Willian or a Hazard. If someone had actually enabled him to do that, but because he's got a bit of pace, he was misprofiled. Lukaku, I don't think he was ever going to work out on the Tuchel, because I think Tuchel wanted a striker who was a lot better on the ball.
I have no idea what Tuchel wants, to be honest.
Tuchel changes every year. Tuchel doesn't really know. You know what Tuchel wanted? Tuchel wanted Harry Kane. That's what he wanted. I think that's the ideal.
Everybody wants Harry Kane, Tom. Like, Harry Kane.
No, but I mean play style wise. So the next closest to what Harry Kane done was Lukaku in the eyes of the Chelsea board, but in the way that Tuchel plays, not at all, because it's different types of hold up. Harry Kane dropped deep and played. Lukaku held up the ball. The Lukaku one would have worked under a different manager. I think that if Pochettino had got Lukaku, that hadn't already pissed off half the fan base, if Pochettino would come in the same window that Lukaku come in, you might see a different story. But for Lukaku, I mean, look at him at Roma now, banging in goals for Mourinho, because it's a manager who knows how to use them right. Certain strikers just need a manager who knows how to use them right. And when I look at Chelsea, they've had a history of, and it's weird because they normally have great recruitments elsewhere. I've always thought Chelsea
everywhere on the pitch.
I've always thought Chelsea. I've always thought Chelsea bought well at centre back. I've always thought Chelsea bought well at DM. But bar like one or two, which is always going to happen across 20 years. But they've always bought relatively well at centre back. Always bought relatively well at full back. Always bought relatively well at DM. Always bought relatively well at goalkeeper. But when it comes to striker, honest God, they are so inconsistent. For every Diego Costa, you've got a Batshuayi and a Lukaku and a Werner and a Maraza back to back to back to back. It's like they want different things in a striker, and now that I think they've got too many complete forwards, they just need to go to a striker. Keep one of them, maybe even relegate Jackson to a winger position, but go out there and find a striker and get you 25 a season and have them. Because against the low blocks, that's what you need. Because right now, you're going to break down the low blocks, you'll do all the hard work of breaking them down, and then the chances of falling to the complete forwards who can't finish. It's why when we had Bobby Firmino and we were up against low blocks, God knows didn't want Bobby Firmino getting the chances. You could create them, but when it falls to them, they're not going to go in. You need them falling to your finishers, and I don't think Chelsea have a out-and-out finisher.
I think although Nkunku does fall in that complete forward role, I think he is a bit of an exception to the rule. The man is clinical. He is. I'll just come out and say it straight up and down. The guy is clinical. I trust his. I trust his finishing. As obviously, is he Haaland level clinical? No, I'm not going to say that. But then there's not many strikers that are. You know what I mean? But then I do trust him in front of goal, 100%. I feel if chances are laid off to him more times than none, he's going to score.
Yeah, I think Nkunku might be the answer to your problem. Listen, people, we're moving on from Chelsea. Finally, after 30 minutes or something, 250 people here. Can we get to 200 likes, people, in this afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world? Get 250 likes or 200 likes, people. Listen, back to the title race, because there are news that Vlahovic, and I'm not sure if you guys watched a little bit of Vlahovic. I think Vlahovic is a good striker. Do we think Vlahovic linked to Arsenal is the answer? Because for some reason, the report's saying that they're going to try for Vlahovic. If it doesn't work, they're going to go for Ivan Toney. I'm not sure what you guys know about Vlahovic, but
I think that's the correct move. I think they should be going for Vlahovic over Tony.
100%. I agree as well.
Tony's too big. I was here last
now.
week.
You guys,
I was here last
me.
week with Jimmo. Tony's too big of a risk. He's 27. He's coming off, an 8-month ban where, yes, he's trained, but match sharpness is a completely different thing. This would be the first major club he's ever been at. The reason why I don't think Vlahovic has worked out at Juventus is down to Allegri. Just playing some of the most mental systems I think I've ever seen a top manager play. When he was at Fiorentina, he was banging the goals. Arsenal wants him when he was at Fiorentina. If there's a striker in world football that Arsenal could get that isn't Victor Osimhen, who I think would be the best one, but I don't think that's going to happen, I think it's Dusan Vlahovic. I think Arteta will be able to figure it all out with him. And is he going to be... I don't think Vlahovic is ever going to be a 30-goal-a-season striker. But he'd be 20-25, and that's all Arsenal need when you've got Martinelli and Saka on the wings. I think Vlahovic is 100% the one they should go for. And he's got 4 years on Toney. So this is the big thing when I'm looking at how teams are going to build. Martinelli's 21. Saka's 21 or 20. Vlahovic is 23. That's an attack that can grow together for the next 5 years, and they'll all hit the primes at relatively the same points. Whereas if you bring in Ivan Toney, the moment Martinelli and the moment Saka are hitting the primes, Toney's on the decline. You need to buy another one. You need to buy someone else. You need to buy someone else. You need to buy someone else. That's the worry that they've got. And when you get to replacing Ivan Toney, there's no guarantee that there's going to be the striker on the market that you like. Whereas Vlahovic, you get to develop him and grow him with the front three. I don't see any problem. I think that's the big thing that Arsenal should be trying to do. Get this attacking core cemented. Vlahovic is the way, not Ivan Toney. And the price difference, I would much rather pay 70 million for Vlahovic than 70
Vlahovic is 40 million pounds. They want 50 million euros.
That's so much better than 70 million pounds for Ivan Toney. So much better. Less of a risk. It's better. And I'll put it this way, if Vlahovic doesn't work out, you can go get Toney in the summer. But then you don't take the risk of seeing. You don't have to take the risk on your shoulders of, can we get him back to what he was? You get to see him for that when he returns to Brentford and go, right, yeah, he is back, or no, that ban's affected him. He's not really sharp. We're going to go a different way. Vlahovic is the smarter option, 100%.
Guni, you said you agree with that, which is... Go ahead, Anka.
Yeah, I mean, Tom said a lot of what I really wanted to say in terms of price tag, in terms of his age profile as well. I was going to say exactly the same about how he was going to grow with that attack, and that can only do wonders for Arsenal if they get the best out of Vlahovic. Obviously, there are a few red flags. Well, I'd say one main red flag is he's got a reoccurring injury which is in his groin, and that's obviously kept him out for quite some time. But the Vlahovic that we're seeing at Juventus is nothing of what we saw at Fiorentina. The Vlahovic that I saw at Fiorentina was able to, and I've said this many times on streams, like obviously he's not of that quality, but there are similarities to how him and Harry Kane play when he was at Fiorentina. He was able to drop down, link up the attack pretty well, receive the ball deep. Another thing about him is he's so technically brilliant at striking the ball. Don't underestimate his ability to hit that ball. He's brilliant. He can score free kicks as well. He can be dominant in the air as well. His positioning is excellent as a striker. I honestly like him. I like him. I was actually one of the people that was saying I wouldn't mind him coming to Chelsea, but I was told that, if he comes to Chelsea, he's going to ruin Nicholas Jackson's path, and trust Nicholas Jackson, he's going to be the better striker. But me personally, I would have gone for Vlahovic. But it seems, fast forward to now, that Osimhen is our main target, and it's looking likely that we may be able to get this player. So you get me? But Vlahovic for Arsenal, I think, would be a really good signing. I do think so. But I think they do need more than just Vlahovic, because if I'm correct, if Vlahovic gets injured, then you're back to an Eddie Nketiah situation again, and then the drop off there is a bit mad. So maybe there's a case for signing both Vlahovic and then signing Ivan Toney, like Tom was saying, possibly in the summer.
I actually think if they sign Vlahovic this season, they won't win the league. This is just, I actually don't think Vlahovic is all of that. I think Vlahovic can develop, but Arsenal needs someone that is ready today. Ivan Toney is a risk, but if a risk that it works, it's brilliant. I think actually Gabriel Jesus provides the perfect combination along with Saka and Martinelli. I think Gabriel Jesus is the one that allows them to get all these goals and assists, because he's someone who gets them involved. Vlahovic is a stationary striker, especially in a position-based team. He's a very stationary striker. He needs a lot of deliveries to actually get goals. His link-up play isn't the best. His touch is... I'm really harsh on forwards because I grew up watching R9. And not only R9, watching Henry. You know what I mean? That's even David Trezeguet. Fernando Torres. You know what I'm talking about? I'm really harsh on forwards. Like, I want my forward. Roberto Firmino, for me, was the perfect example of a false nine. Someone who gets everybody around him involved. Right? So it's either that, for me, to win the league these days, it's either you have a Luis Suarez or you have a Roberto Firmino. None of them, Vlahovic is that guy. Jackson isn't that guy. Nunes isn't that guy. Or you have a Haaland with a brilliant machine around him to deliver that many chances for the guy to get 30 goals. Now, can Vlahovic do that for Arsenal? You are going against Pep Guardiola's team. I'm sorry, you're not playing in the French league. You're going against Pep Guardiola's team. You need someone who's going to elevate your team. Is Vlahovic, even with the injuries though, is Vlahovic gonna elevate Arsenal? Is 100%. He better than Gabriel Jesus? He is an extra option, right? As a striker, he's the other option. But I think Arsenal now needs someone who is ready today. Vlahovic has been in and out of the Juventus team, by the way, over the past year because of injuries, which is part of football. We know that injuries are part of football. I think it's too much of a risk as well. I think they should go for Ivan Toney for the short term. I agree with Tom. For the long term, no. Right? I agree. 28 years old, yes. But I think Ivan Toney is for the short term to win the league before Arteta gets sacked. It's Ivan Toney, not Vlahovic. Arteta doesn't have time to develop. They might not give him time.
I just look at it and
go on, Tom.
Go ahead, ask questions. I want someone to debate this.
I look at Vlahovic and I see the solution to the main Arsenal problem this season, which has been so you bring in Ivan Toney, and Ivan Toney plays a similar way but a higher level to Jesus. He does it. Ivan Toney's brilliant at link up. He's basically an elevated Jesus. I don't think that's what Arsenal need whilst they have Jesus, because Jesus isn't anywhere. I think what Arsenal need is the player to replace the Nketiah, who is a striker who occupies defenders. When I look at how Newcastle dealt with Arsenal, it was literally just, we are going to double up on Saka and Martinelli because we do not race Nketiah. We're going to leave Lascelles on Nketiah. He'll deal with them. If you have Vlahovic there, teams can't then afford to leave Vlahovic one-on-one with a centre-back, because whilst you might not think he's, amazing, you can't give Vlahovic that many chances. He if you can get him back to a level that was close to Fiorentina, he's burying at least one a game if teams are doing something stupid like that. So then what that in turn does is goes, right, okay, so we can't afford to double up on all them, so we're going to go to a more natural back line, which, whilst it means that Saka and Martinelli aren't getting the ball from the striker, they're getting space from the striker because he's occupying defenders, which then opens up the avenues that they exploited last season. I think the issue they have this year is teams don't rate Nketiah, and when Jesus plays, it plays into the hands. They need a striker who.
So you're talking about him being an extra option. You're not talking about Vlahovic being the main guy and replace Gabriel Jesus.
No, because I don't think whilst Jesus is there, Jesus will be replaced.
All right. Okay, we agree on that then. Okay, we agree. Yes, as another option, as someone that provides something else. Yes, Vlahovic provides a striker, a true number 9.
I think if you bring in Toney,
I get what you're saying.
Toney, because Jesus is staying. So if you bring in Toney, you just end up with 2 players who perform at the same level, but one's better than the other.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, you're making a lot of sense. Yes.
Jesus plays that false 9 role. I don't think he's as good as certain players in the past have been on it, but he plays it. And then Vlahovic gives you that other thing, which is I think what Arsenal need against the low blocks. So therefore, you get the balance right, and that is the most important thing.
Makes a lot of sense now. But if we, but because some people say they want to elevate, they want to actually improve on Gabriel Jesus. I don't think there is an improvement now on Gabriel Jesus in terms of, unless it's Harry Kane. The only one, in my opinion, that can still get the best out of Saka, the midfield, and Martinelli, and still score some goals is Harry Kane. Guni, you wanted to say something?
No, I was gonna ask you like whether a profile like a Victor Boniface would kind of fit what you're talking about, because that's a striker. I know he hasn't been doing it for the longest, but that's a striker that can create chances for himself, create chances for others, can score goals as well. He's an all-round striker. He can also run the channels pretty well as well. So there's similarities. So there's that similarity with Ivan Toney and Gabriel Jesus, but he's also got that little bit more to his game as well. Do you think that's the type of profile? Is that the type of profile that you're talking about?
So one of the things, the difference between Bayern Leverkusen, if I'm not mistaken, I'm checking what I watch. I'm checking the stats, because when I'm watching Bayern Leverkusen, it's not that they only play on the counter attack. So yes, the difference between him and Ivan Toney is that this guy plays for Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso plays a position-based team and a team that is completely go and suffocate the other team. And he's their striker, right? That means he will suit someone like Arsenal. Every time I'm debating someone about Ivan Toney, I'm saying, we forget that Ivan Toney, as good as he is on the eye, plays on a team that averaged 43% ball position over his time in the Premier League. So that means they're playing on the counter-attack. There's a lot of spaces for him. When you play for Arsenal Football Club under Arteta, there's not a lot of space. So I agree with you. This guy might be the answer as well. Can they go and poach someone like this from Xabi Alonso and Bayern Leverkusen? I don't think so, actually. I actually don't think that anybody would leave Bayern Leverkusen at the moment. Bayern Leverkusen are flying in the Bundesliga. They've been playing one of the best brands of football in world football. Everybody's talking about them at the moment, Bayern Leverkusen. I don't think he's for sale, though. The reason why I keep saying that about Arsenal now, because every time I'm talking to Arsenal fans, they say, we want to win the league now. We want to strengthen in January. You guys are looking for the next 3-4 years for Arsenal, because you're coming from Chelsea. You're looking for the next 3-4 years as a project. They replaced the midfield. Arsenal wants someone to deliver today. Arsenal wants someone in January to come in and have an amazing second part of the season to guarantee them at least a run until the last yard of this race. They don't want someone to say, yeah, he will come good in the next 2-3 years. Unless you guys see something else in this Arsenal. Unless you both, and which is bring me to the next point, unless you guys think that Arsenal, no matter what, cannot be challenging this year, and they need to look at the future. Because that's what I'm hearing from Tom. Tom is saying they can grow together. You are saying, yeah, that Vlahovic is younger than Toney as well, Guni. You're saying, yeah, these players are young as well. Unless you guys are saying that, am I missing something?
Well, I think with Vlahovic, if he's well, again, there's ifs that come into this. If he can stay fit, I think he's a striker that could do it now. When I was referring to Boniface, I wasn't saying that he's the answer to sign him right now. I was just asking whether that is the profile that you feel would work, regardless of whatever age that striker is. But for me, you know, it's more than just a striker that they need anyway. Their midfield, they still need to address it. And I feel that they need some competition for Gabriel at the back. And Raya, let's have it right. He's still being judged at the minute. Hasn't been putting in the most consistent or best performances either. So these are positions that may still need to be looked at. So there are still uncertain elements, because if we can ask ourselves and be honest, right? Does this Arsenal team look as strong as they did last season?
No.
There you go. So that means that.
No, hold on. Can I rephrase? I'm sorry. Can I go back to my answer? Am I allowed to do that? Defensively, are looking way stronger than last year. Offensively, they lack a lot in terms of creation. So you can say defensively they look better. Offensively, not that much. So overall, they not look as fluid, but they look more solid as a team that can defend.
But then I'll ask you this question. Sorry, Tom. I'll ask you this question then. If Saliba gets injured, like we saw towards the tail end of the season, this is what I'm trying to say. And is it a first 11 that wins you a Premier League, or is it your squad that wins you the Premier League?
I said that many times. I said that last year. The problem with Arteta is that he coaches 11 players or 12. He's not like Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola coaches 16 players. Change, everything looks the same for Pep Guardiola for 16 players. The problem with Arteta, he coached 11 players last year. Now, a little bit, he has Trossard and Jorginho a little bit. But I get what you're saying. But also, it's a massive thing. Like, Saliba is a massive player. There is no replacement unless they have Van Dijk or Van de Ven. Like, I get what you're saying, but that would be very, very... It's the same as... Let me ask you a question. Do you think if Rodri gets injured, Man City can win the league as comfortably as people are saying? If Rodri gets injured...
Not as comfortably, but I still think they'll be. I still think they'll win it personally, but just not as comfortably. No, definitely not. Any team that loses their key linchman in their linchpin in their team, it's not going to be as comfortable and as a foreseen target as it would be. So I think you can apply that to every team. So I still think that they will. I still think that they would still be favourites to win it, and I'd still put my money on them to win it.
Yeah. Listen, I listen for Arsenal. So Tom comes to you. I want to ask you a question. Who do you think is the best team in the league at the moment? And we talked before we started. Who do you think is the best team in the league?
Stats say it's either
for 12 games. I'm not saying treble winners, blah blah blah. I'm saying 12 games in. You have the best defense in the league along with Arsenal. You still score a lot of goals. Who do you think is the best team in the league?
It's a toss-up between us and City. I think Arsenal are a little bit behind that. I think it's a toss-up between us and City. I think we've been better attacking, more exciting. Better is a tough thing to quantify. We've been more exciting attacking-wise. I think we've been a more exciting team overall, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we've still produced a lot of results. Obviously, if you look at, I think you said it earlier, if the Luis Diaz goal had counted against Tottenham, which it should have done, but VAR is brilliant, we would be the only unbeaten team in the league and top of the league. So that's a big sort of thing, considering how much of this squad had to change. City are up there. City are 100% still in that conversation. If you want to say City, that's fine. But the reason why I won't say City at this point is because I know they can get better. They can 100% get better than what they're doing. I don't know if this is the peak of this Liverpool squad this season or if there's another level that we can kick on to. I hope there is, but we don't know yet because we haven't seen. The City squad has done it every single year for 6 years. They start the season off and you go, oh, they're not bad, but there's a couple of things. Maybe, it's not the same. And then it gets to March, it gets to February, and you go, right, here's 12 wins on the bounce. And you go, well, what do we do? I'm biased, yeah, I'd say us because I think we have been 100% up there. We played a lot of tough games. I think our fixture schedules went a little bit under the radar in terms of how tough it is. If you look at the top 10 this season, we've played Chelsea, away, which is proven to be one of the toughest away days. Newcastle away, one of the toughest away days. Brighton away. We've played Aston Villa. We've played West Ham. We're about to play Man City themselves. We played Tottenham away and should have left with Sutton. Who else? Just off the top of my head. I don't think, like, Wolves away is proven to be another tough game. Got out of that one. So we went to a lot of these games and done really, really well. In terms of defence, we've been just as good as Arsenal in the sense that Arsenal played to their strengths defensively. We've played to our strengths defensively. We've conceded the same amount of goals, but we face more chances. But we are happy to concede more chances because we've got a better goalkeeper. It's how we've always been. Even when we won the title, I think we faced more chances than City did. But when you have a player like Alisson in goal, you harness your system around that. We are quite happy to play such a high line because it uses the pace of Van Dijk, it uses the pace of defenders, and it also entrusts Alisson that if anyone does end up beating the offside trap and goes one-on-one, he'll save it. Whereas Arsenal are having to defend in a different way because whilst I think the centre-backs are good, they don't trust their goalkeeper. And if they don't trust the goalkeeper, they're a little bit deeper, they're a little bit more compact. So then I look at our attack, that in turn gives our attack more license to go forward and everything. If you look at the overall package of the team this season, the only thing we lack is a DM. It's a DM. And yes, we've only scored one more goal than Arsenal, but we are still yet to play a Sheffield United or a Burnley, who are the two teams that have conceded the most goals in the league this season.
You played Chelsea away, you played Newcastle away, you played Spurs away, you played Brighton away, and you're going to play Man City away.
Generally, it's a ridiculous start to the season, and we've come out of it 1 point behind City. I think people are underestimating just how difficult our start to the season has actually been. The easiest game we had, we bottled it against Luton, which is typical. Which is typical of Liverpool in years gone by. We should have left Luton.
That was funny, bro.
But you got Chelsea, then you got Bournemouth is an easy one. So Chelsea is a difficult one. Newcastle is a difficult one. Villa, Wolves, West Ham, Tottenham, Brighton. And then the best run of the season we've had is the last 4 games. We had Everton, which is a tough game because it's a derby.
Everton is an easy game. Everton at home. You guys are the only people that think in the world that it's a tough game. Everton at home for you is an easy game.
Everton is a banana skin of a game, but we should have done it. Forest, easy game. Luton should have won, but we're idiots. And then Brentford. Yeah. But that is literally the easiest run we've had this season. It's been 4 games. 4 games. Beyond that, we had 6 games in a row where we were playing teams in the top 10. Yeah. That's where I think the difference comes into it. We are due a run of games where we play a bunch of teams low end table. And when that happens, you'll start to see all the other stats pick themselves up.
Guni, like this notion of Man City is the better team in the league. I get it. Man City have the history. Man City can kick to another gear. Man City can do 10, 14 games of run. But so did Liverpool before. We've seen Liverpool do 13 games winning streak. We've seen Liverpool lose only 1 game a season. We've seen it before with this manager. So why do people want to discredit Liverpool that much? Because of no DM? Is that what it is?
It's not discrediting Liverpool, because outside of Manchester City, I think I said before the stream, now I think Liverpool is still clear of everybody else. It just really emphasizes how good the Manchester City is, because now when we go back to the point that we just made, is it your first 11 that wins the league, or is it the squad? Manchester City have gone on. They're still, let me see, they're top of the league right now, right?
We are.
Okay, and no De Bruyne. They had Rodri out for a certain period.
Yes,
and I believe they've had several others that have also missed games here and there. But there's going to come a period where all these players are fit and they're going to be back playing again together. And if they're able to cope without those players and still sit at the top of the league, they're only going to strengthen, which only says to me that they're going to get better. And then on top of that, they've got a 12th man, which is Pep Guardiola, who none of us can argue. There's not a better manager in world football out there, and it's not even remotely close. So this is why I say what I say about Manchester City. Does it make me feel good saying it? It makes me sick to my stomach. I want the success. I want to be where they are. I'm a bloody Chelsea fan. You know what I mean? I come from a fan base where we almost feel entitled to be winning these trophies. So of course it doesn't make me feel good to say it, but it's just the reality of the situation. But then when you're looking outside of Manchester City, for me, Liverpool are definitely that team, 100%.
Yeah, for me, like I'm looking at Liverpool, and I think that Liverpool are not as composed as like the Man City this year. Apart from the Chelsea game, they have been a composed team, in my opinion. However, they faced adversity. Like against Brighton, I thought they struggled a little bit. Um, Against Arsenal, they struggled a little bit.
Against
Against
Chelsea.
Chelsea, they struggled not a little bit. They struggled massively against Chelsea. I actually think that Chelsea were the better team in the game.
Wolves as well.
Wolves as well. Like people just say that, yeah, Chelsea won the league. Man City won the league last year, so they are by default the best team because they can click into another gear. I actually think that Man City this year, it's Pep Guardiola's year to prove to us that I'm replacing players. Remember that Foden last year was missing for the long part. Now he's going to play a big part of this team. Guardiola is new to this team. Kovacic, Nunes, Doku is new. Jack Grealish now is on the bench. So it's on Pep Guardiola now to embed these people quickly and fix the system. Not fix it, they're still top of the league, but get them going when push comes to shove at the end of the season. They get them going. Of course, that's what I mean. And Jurgen Klopp, people want to say that Jurgen Klopp didn't, like, he's not as good as Pep. Yes, he's not as good as Pep, but he proved that he can do it. The guy lost the league by 1 point twice against Pep, twice, right? And that's something that not a lot of managers can do, to be honest. He developed a lot of it. He didn't buy expensive players, only Van Dijk and Alisson, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't buy a lot of expensive players. Darwin Núñez, which was a mistake because he just got jealous of Haaland or something. But I think Darwin Núñez, like in my opinion, I'm not going to talk about Darwin Núñez. Come on, I'm not going to talk about Darwin Núñez again because people think I have an agenda, and I do. I do have an agenda.
Is it possible that me and you could ever do a stream where Darwin Núñez doesn't get mentioned?
It's impossible because I think he's a big factor in how you win a league or not, in my opinion.
I think
because Roberto Firmino is someone I admired watching. I loved Roberto Firmino because the way this guy gets everybody involved, gets the midfielder, gets the wingers involved, is an art. Not a lot of people can do that. And that's what I'm looking for in a forward, to be honest, unless you're Fernando Torres.
But then what I would say, Mo, is if you want to look at how our front three's evolved, I'd say we've lost that Bobby Firmino, but we also lost Sadio Mane.
Yes.
Darwin Núñez.
Luis Diaz can replace Sadio Mane.
I don't think Luis. I think
I
you look at
Darwin. Luis Diaz can do that.
I think you look at Darwin Núñez as more of the Sadio Mane type of replacement in terms of he's going to be the bigger goal threat.
Sadio Mane, looking at the player on the eyes, one-on-one, and telling them, I'm dribbling you, and he dribbles them.
Not in terms of play style, in terms of the goal threat, in terms of how it's going to be spread about. We're going to have to use the left winger as more of the creative source, which is why you've got a Diaz and a Gakpo for that position, two more creative players. Whereas up front, you've got a Jota or a Núñez, who are the goal scorers. We just altered how that front three aligns. Núñez is just such a big threat for us, which we need because when you lose the creativity of Bobby Firmino, you need to get that creativity in other ways. That comes to Darwin Núñez, just which is chaos. More...
Oh, he's stuck in the matrix.
See, Núñez has got to him now. Núñez has got to his internet.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, your owners have just, they said, Mo, enough is enough. Do you know what I mean? But do you know what, bro? I ain't gonna lie to you. You see that Luis Diaz, he's a special player, bro.
Oh yeah,
I ain't gonna lie to you. And when you guys signed him from Porto, I was like, Chelsea, where are your scouts? Why are you not looking at this player? I also said that he's coming at a perfect time for you guys because Sadio Mane at the time for me was kind of on his decline. And this is one thing that I rate about Liverpool that they also do. But obviously, this also depends on your budget that's available too. You're able to identify pretty well early when a player is kind of towards the tail end or not. Well, I wouldn't say tail end of his career, but if you can see that they're perhaps not going to be as good as they once were, you're able to replace that. And I thought that you've done it pretty well. I think Mo's a little harsh on Darwin Núñez because the difference is, right, is if Núñez was in a squad like Chelsea, cool, I would understand it. But because your squad is able to get that ball in the box consistently, to create chances consistently, that takes away from the responsibility of what Darwin Núñez has to do. If you isolate him to a point where it's like, and I know it's not entirely his game, but if you put him in a position where he's that guy that's either in the box or around the box and that can have that opportunity to shoot and be a volume shooter, that guy's going to be scoring goals. 100%. I've seen enough from him to know that this guy going forward will more than likely be a clinical striker. 100%.
I love the makeup of our attack. I think our attack complements each other perfectly. I don't think there is a weakness in our attack, which is the big thing. If you're Salah's the all-round player. Diaz is the wild card in terms of creativity off that left. I think he's the best dribbler in the squad. I think he's the best at beating a man, etc. You've got Núñez for your all-round threat as a striker. Diogo Jota is, for me, arguably one of the best finishers in the league. I don't think there's a single type of finisher he doesn't have in his locker. And Cody Gakpo can give you that false nine role in the certain games that you need it. Like when we go to City at the Etihad, I'd be looking to start Gakpo as the false nine, just so you can have someone to sit on Rodri and be able to neutralise Rodri in a way. That attack is the big thing for us, because that's what, if we are going to win this league title, that's what will win us it.
Let me do these two super
because
chats.
It's so balanced.
Can you guys hear me and see me? Of course, I've connected to my phone now. Tom, why do you think Gravenberch won't be in our strongest midfield? He's our best midfielder. He's got more ability than Dominic, and he's clear of Mid-Alistair.
So I said he won't be in our strongest midfield because of the lack of a DM. Therefore, you need to find balance in that midfield. For me, come the end of the season, I think our strongest midfield could well be Stefan Bajcetic at DM, Curtis Jones or McAllister at left centre mid, and Szoboszlai right centre mid. I feel that if you go for Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and then Bajcetic or McAllister, you're running the risk of leaving that DM a little bit too isolated when they're not a natural DM. I think if in the summer you go out and bring in a DM, let's say, I'll use Mo's go-to. Let's say you bring Palhinha in the summer, then you can afford to go Gravenberch and Szoboszlai because you've got a more natural player in that position who doesn't need the added support of the left centre mid. Therefore, you get to use more creative license in that left centre mid, which is where I think Ryan Gravenberch would then take that position on his own. But whilst we lack that DM, whilst I'm looking between Endo or a Bajcetic or a McAllister, I need a Curtis Jones in that spot to offer me the balance and to offer me the extra support that we don't have in that position at DM. Just for now.
Yeah. Taron T is saying, when Guni's on, it's an automatic like from an Arsenal fan. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a like from us as well. Guys, get to 200 likes. We still have 300 people watching us. Listen, this has been an absolutely brilliant stream. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for any last thing. Guys, also one more thing for 300 people watching. Tom Little channel is in the description. He's promising to do more regular content every day. He's promising us. And also Guni's channel, great content, not only Chelsea, he does everything football. Man Knows Football is in the description. Give him a subscription, please. Go like his last video or two. Please do that, please. Or last 10 if you want, Tom as well. And we're going to be here. I don't know if we're going to be here tonight, but tomorrow, of course, in the morning, we're going to have another one in the afternoon. Thank you for everybody that watched us. We got to 200 likes. Appreciate everybody that supported us with Super Chat. Of course, Ryan and Taron, thank you. Good, appreciate you being here, my man. Thank you so much for joining. Tom, great to be here with you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you. I hope you liked the video. Stay on this. I don't know who else is streaming, but nobody else at the moment. Thank you, guys. Hopefully, we'll see you guys tonight. And we're out of here. I hope you enjoyed it.
Southgate out.